All right, good day, hi, and welcome. So, gig one has been accomplished. So, I played about as a sit in guitar player yesterday, and which gave me a good idea for a topic because I was playing with a band that uses the Nashville system. And I'm a heavy metal guy that goes in, well, when I was in bands back in the 90s, well rehearsed bands where there's no improvisation really other than within the framework of knowing the song. Like you had to know the song back and right. So maybe you did the song the same way it's played on the album, maybe change the soul a little bit, but you play it within, all the rhythm parts are exactly the same as the album, that kind of stuff. Cover band, right? Or our originals. And there's no shouting out, what key are we in? What's the cadence? It's 1 5 4 5. Or there's none of that in the world I come from, right? So that made me think of a good topic for a video. Could this guitar player make it in Nashville? And the simple answer is no. Now, I have no aspirations to go to Nashville. Number one, it's an oversaturated market. You're going to meet brilliant, poor musicians there. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to meet the best musicians in the world there, but they're all going to be poor. Why? Dime a dozen, right? It doesn't matter how good you play to the most part. Now, that said, there are people there that are making a lot of money. But out of the one guy that's making a killing, there's like 10,000 guys that are not. You know what I mean? So you just got to look at reality. I tend to look at not where the lightning has struck, but where it's going to strike later. And I think the way to do it is, like kind of lesser venues, just a little off the beaten path. That's where you can kind of get things started a little more. And then when they get a little bit crowded, then you move on to somewhere else, right? I think that's a good idea. But the reason why I'd say I'm not ready to be a guitar player in Nashville is because I can't use the Nashville numbering system properly. Do I understand it? Absolutely 100%. When someone says a 1 3 5 or a 1 4 5 in the key of F minor, yeah, I know what they're saying. Someone says, okay, we're going to do D diminished, a 1 5 4 5. Okay, that would be a really weird key, wouldn't it? Diminished chords, like doing all diminished chords and stuff like that. But those chords are in there. There's a lot of augmented and diminished chords in the blues stuff, right? Almost everything else is a 7 chord, which is a lot easier. But it can also, I always told people, if you're going to learn two things to like year one of a guitar player, is to learn get your circle of fifths printed out, circle of fourths, circle of fifths, print it out, put it on the wall, stare at it until you get it. If I had that in front of me and someone says, okay, key of F sharp minor, 1 5 4 5, and a 2 line on the 5. Okay, I know I know exactly what you're saying. And then a turnaround, right? And then, okay, fine, I get it. Right? But I don't practice it. And you get good at what you practice. That's why, guys that want to play metal, I got to practice jazz before I learn metal. No, you'll just get good at jazz. So if you're not into jazz, learn metal and then take on jazz as a secondary. It's the same with the drums. I'm learning drums. I'm learning metal drumming first. I'm work the same fundamentals as every other drummer works. I went through all 40 of them 2 nights ago. And I'm getting there, that's an ongoing thing. But I'm learning the stuff I want to learn first because you get good at what you learn. So if you want to be Yngwie or Eddie Van Halen or Nuno, you have to practice what they practice. If you want to be Bach or Ricky Skaggs, you got to practice what they practice, right? But that said, if you want to play in Nashville and you're going to be a session musician or a sit-in musician, and like last night, it didn't matter because I wasn't getting paid, right? So it's just a jam night. We're having fun, but I'm up there and I'm playing, right? But if I was getting paid, I would have to know that. I would have to sit there for probably, you take a year to learn it, 6 months to a year to learn, just put, again, your circle of fourths, circle of fifths on the wall, And like most guitar players will say C, D, G or whatever, something like that, right? But the Nash people will say a 1-4-5 or a 1-3-5 or a 1-5-4-5 or whatever cadence they're using, right? And they'll throw that out at you in the key of G major or whatever. And if you're not fluent in that, because the key of C is easy because there's no sharps, no flats, right? But if you're in the key of G, you got one sharp in there. Now you go in the key of F, and F, each one gains a sharp or a flat on the end, right? And you got to remember all of that. So that's where you get kind of screwed up. After a while, you'll get the idea of that most songs are generic in that, and it's just okay where you're starting, and you get familiar with it. So you practice it enough, you'll get used to it if that's what you're doing. So for now, I'll say no, I am not qualified to be a Nashville guitar player as a kind of blind stage. I'll get there. Here's the material. You go up there. There's a handful of people. Well, there's actually a lot of people that can do this, where they just go, they've never played the song. They've never even heard the song before. And it's just like, okay, just tell me what it is. Like they don't even send them the song. They just send them the key changes and the cadences. That's it. Right. There's a handful of people that do that. There's a handful of people. I'm not one of those people. And now there's a little bit of a scam there too, though. And the scam is that because most of these songs are very generic and stuff like that, once you get into that frame mindset of what it is, that you kind of anticipate just by knowing where the pattern is. And it becomes more pattern recognition than numbering system. It's just the numbering system tells you what the pattern is. And when people start learning this trick, suddenly they become very impressive to people because it's a parlor trick that it works the same way for this song, that song, the next song, as long as it's the cadences are the same, right? So I thought it was an interesting kind of concept. You guys tell me what you think about it. You use the Nashville numbering system. I know a lot of people do it because I think there's like a pride in the ego of it, of saying, hey, I know how to do this, because it seems like it's this really mystical thing, but anybody can learn it. In fact, once you learn it, it's very easy. How am I doing for time here? Okay, not too bad. I'll wrap this up. But the thing is like, it's just getting your head around it at first. So anybody that wants to learn that numbering system, the simplest thing you can do is put 2 posters on the wall, print out the circle of fourths or fifths, depending on which way you're going, study it, find the most intricate one and just look at it, and just look at the relative keys. It's all there. Every scale is there. Like every piece of music theory is pretty much in the circle of fourths and fifths, almost every bit of it. Not every bit of it, but almost, right? And the second thing is put your intervals. So once you learn intervals and cadences, the rest is just gravy. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think. Have you tried that numbering system? How did it work for you? Did you find it confusing? Did you catch on to it right away? Did you catch the scam that it is actually a lot easier than you think it is? You just got to put a few things to memory. So for me, I got to learn it a bit there because I'll probably be using it a bit more, but it's just something I never practiced. But I understand it fully what it is. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. So you guys tell me what you think. There you go.